visitor. Call someone you fancy. Could be the right person for the job.
The first local elections under the Lee Jae-myung administration got underway on Friday as the two-day early voting period opened across the country, drawing a record-high first-day turnout of 11.6%. The U.S. and Iran appear to be edging closer to a provisional agreement to end the conflict, amid indications that Tehran may be softening its position on nuclear negotiations. A draft defense bill in the U.S. House for fiscal year 2027 strengthens the restrictions on funding for any drawdown of U.S. forces Korea, although the NDAA must still clear both the chambers of Congress before it can take effect. Local elections kicked off today here in Korea, with early voting drawing a record-high turnout on the opening day. And voters will be able to cast their ballots at any early voting station nationwide on Saturday, regardless of their registered address. Our correspondent An Sung-jin leads our coverage tonight.
Starting from the early morning, a steady amount of people walked into this community center in Seoul's Yongsan-gu district. Early voting for Korea's local elections started on Friday and continues on Saturday from 6 a.m. till 6 p.m. With more than 3,570 early voting locations, many have come with the hope that their ballot will help decide the future of their local area.
I hope good, capable people get elected so the country can do well and move in the right direction.
Lately, it feels like both sides have been focused too much on negative campaigning and attacking each other. I'd rather see candidates focus more on what's best for the country and the people.
On the first day of early voting, the turnout rate reached a record high 11.6%, 1.42 percentage points above the previous election in 2022, with 5.18 million voters casting their ballot nationwide. Jeollando province in the southwest saw the highest voter turnout rate. For early voting, eligible voters can cast their ballot nationwide regardless of their address, but they must bring a valid government-issued ID. Most voters will receive 7 ballots, while voters in districts holding parliamentary by-elections will receive an additional ballot. The National Election Commission says live video footage of ballot storage facilities will be made available to the public around the clock. Monitoring ballot storage conditions through live screens from Regional Election Commission offices will also be available. While local elections determine regional leadership, they're also widely viewed as something of a midterm test for the central government. As recent polls show narrowing gaps between ruling and opposition party candidates in several key battleground regions, candidates will continue their campaigning till June 2nd, one day before Election Day next Wednesday. An Sung-jin, Arirang News.
And President Lee Jae-myung and First Lady Kim Hye-kyung were among those who took part in early voting for the June 3rd local elections today. At around lunchtime, they went together at a polling station in Seoul's Jongno-gu district near the presidential office. They cast ballots for the Gyeang-eul district based on their registered home address. And ballots were also cast today by Prime Minister Kim Min-seok. In other news, the United States and Iran appear closer than ever to a tentative peace agreement, with Tehran showing possible signs of flexibility on the nuclear issue. Kim Jun-hong has more.
The United States and Iran have tentatively agreed to a 60-day memorandum of understanding to extend their ceasefire and launch talks on Iran's nuclear program. Citing U.S. and regional sources involved in the mediation, Axios reported Thursday local time that most terms had been settled on as of Tuesday. Still, U.S. President Donald Trump has yet to sign off on the deal, and Iran has not officially confirmed its acceptance. The proposed MOU would ensure free passage through the Strait of Hormuz with no shipping tolls, and Iran required to clear all mines within 30 days. U.S. naval blockade would also be eased gradually, in line with the recovery of commercial shipping traffic. On the nuclear front, Iran would pledge not to pursue nuclear weapons, while initial talks during the 60-day period would focus on Tehran's highly enriched uranium and enrichment activities. If nuclear issues move forward, Washington in return would discuss sanctions relief, frozen asset releases, and humanitarian support for Iran. But if Iran fails to deliver on nuclear commitments, Trump warned that both economic and military options remain in play. Key sticking points still need to be resolved, with U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance saying Thursday that talks with Iran were close but not there yet.
And we're in a position where we could substantially step back their nuclear program, not just during the term of this president, but over the long term. That's a very, very good thing for the American people. So we're not there yet, but we're very close. We're going to keep on working at it.
Yet tensions remain high as sporadic clashes continue. Iranian media reported Thursday local time that the military launched a missile from southern Iran toward an unidentified target, while an explosion was reported near the Strait of Hormuz. Some sources also raised the possibility of a maritime clash in the Persian Gulf. Amid the tensions, Pakistan's foreign minister will visit Washington Friday local time for talks with U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio, with regional security expected to be on the agenda. Kim Jun-hong, Arirang News.
Also in the Middle East, for the first time in 3 weeks, Israeli forces struck the Lebanese capital area in what is being referred to as a targeted strike. Lee Seung-jae reports.
The Israeli military says it carried out an airstrike Thursday local time in the southern suburbs of Beirut, marking the first Israeli strike on the Lebanese capital area in nearly 3 weeks amid escalating tensions with the Iran-backed militant group Hezbollah. An Israeli security source identified the target as Ali al-Huzni, the head of the missile force in the Imam Hossein division, an Iranian militia that operates alongside Hezbollah. It remains unclear whether he was killed. The Israeli military said additional details would be released later. According to Lebanese media, the strike hit the Shuwaifat area just south of Beirut. Lebanese security officials said 2 precision missiles targeted a building in the capital's southern suburbs. There was no immediate comment from Hezbollah or Iran. Israeli officials say the military had refrained from carrying out strikes in Beirut for the past 3 weeks following requests from Washington. However, Israeli surveillance drones have continued flying over Beirut on a near-daily basis. 2 Israeli security sources said Thursday's operation came after what they described as very intense dialogue with the Trump administration in recent days. The strike was the first on Beirut since May 6, when an Israeli attack killed Ahmad Galeb Bailut, a commander in Hezbollah's elite Radwan force. The latest attack deals another blow to a ceasefire announced by Washington on April 16th that was meant to halt months of fighting between Israel and Hezbollah. 이승재, Arirang News.
Now, growing instability in the Middle East is casting a shadow over Korea's economy as the country posted its first triple decline in production, consumption, and investment in 8 months. Park Jun-an has more.
The ongoing conflict in the Middle East is now casting a visible shadow over Korea's real economy as production, consumption, and investment all declined in April. The Ministry of Data and Statistics said Friday that industrial production across sectors fell 0.6% from the previous month, marking the first decline in 3 months. Petroleum refining output plunged about 19%, marking the sharpest decline in 37 years. Auto production fell 10%, while in contrast, semiconductor output rose more than 3%. Domestic demand and investment also showed weakness, with both the retail sales index and facility investment falling 3.6% from the previous month. An official from the Data Ministry directly pointed to the impact of the Middle East conflict on Korea's oil-dependent economy.
In April, manufacturing output was particularly hit by a sharp decline in petroleum refining linked to the Middle East conflict. Other sectors, including chemical products and non-metallic minerals, also posted slight declines due to unstable supplies of naphtha and asphalt.
Despite some signs of pessimism, the government remains optimistic about a quick rebound starting in May. Finance Minister Koo Yoon-chul on the same day described it as a temporary base effect due to high growth in previous months, adding that a prompt turnaround is expected from May as consumption and exports remain strong. Park Jun-an, Arirang News.
The U.S. House's draft fiscal 2027 NDAA reinforces safeguards against cuts to U.S. versus Korea troop levels, though the NDAA must still pass both the House and Senate before becoming law. Our defense correspondent Kim Bo-kyung explains.
A draft of the National Defense Authorization Act submitted by the U.S. House of Representatives for the fiscal year 2027 contains strengthened restrictions on the use of funds to reduce the number of U.S. forces Korea troops. Released by the House Armed Services Committee Chairman Mike Rogers on Friday, the NDAA for fiscal year from October this year to September next year says that no funds authorized under the Act may be obligated or expended for the purpose of reducing the number of U.S. troops stationed in South Korea below 28,500. The FY 2027 NDAA draft goes further than this year's version by broadening the funding restrictions on reducing U.S. troops in South Korea. It bars not only NDAA funds, but also any funds allocated in fiscal years 2026 and 2027 from being used for troop cuts. The latest House draft also includes provisions aimed at strongly limiting the U.S. president's ability to make unilateral decisions regarding the reduction or redeployment of troops stationed in Europe. The provisions are non-binding recommendations. Under the current NDAA, the restriction can be lifted after 60 days if the administration proves the move serves U.S. national security interests or confirms consultations with South Korea, Japan, and member states of the United Nations Command. A similar clause is expected in the 2027 NDAA. Still, some analysts say the measure could act as a legal check if President Donald Trump seeks a major unilateral reduction of U.S. troops in South Korea. The NDAA must pass both the House and Senate, and thus this version could still change during negotiations with the Senate before the bill is finalized. Kim Bo-kyung, Arirang News.
As climate talks face growing pressure from wars, energy shocks, and industrial rivalry, Korean experts say Seoul has more room to shape the global response. Our Oh Seung has this report.
Korea must play a larger role in global climate diplomacy amid weakening leadership in an increasingly contested world. That's according to experts and officials attending a forum in Seoul hosted by the Seoul International Law Academy.
The forum comes at a time when climate and energy issues are increasingly intersecting with trade, technology and security concerns, prompting fresh questions about the kind of role countries like Korea can play.
Because of the so-called return of the geopolitics, suddenly people seems to not to understand the important context of climate change, and then there are shift of focus on the energy security and economic security these days, especially in Korea.
Professor Chung So-young also leads the Center for Climate and Sustainable Development Law and Policy, which has been working to bring climate policy into the mainstream of Korea's diplomatic strategy.
Climate should be placed as an umbrella framework by providing the visions and the long-term strategies. Underneath, we can only talk about short-term issues on energy security and economic security. We need to consider nexus approach among the climate security, energy security, and economic security.
Former Vice Foreign Minister An Oh-young warned that geopolitical crises are increasingly overshadowing cooperation. He cited how the US had left the Paris Climate Agreement and how since the start of the Ukraine war, Europe has been grappling with an energy crisis.
Now the war going on in Iran, and then because of that, everybody's talking about how to manage supply of energy, supply of other critical minerals. So that, I think, is the reason why countries like Korea, that is to say mid-power countries, we must get together to deal with large number of global issues.
And said such countries can keep practical coalitions moving when global leadership weakens.
How to promote fight against climate change through technology, through financing, and through capacity building. And that, in fact, is the approach which was adopted by the global community back in 2015. Korea, in fact, should be very much in the center of international efforts among like-minded countries. They are like-minded countries who understand the importance of energy, but at the same time who also understand it should be balanced. Supply of energy should be balanced with fighting climate change.
The forum featured presentations on energy security and emissions reduction, followed by a broader discussion between government officials, academics, industry experts and media. Oh Seung, Arirang News.
Humanoid robot monks have captured public attention this week, underscoring Buddhism's growing push to engage younger generations through technology and contemporary culture. Our culture correspondent Jo Young-eun tells us more.
The Lotus Lantern Festival is a Korean celebration with more than 1,200 years of history. But this year, it was joined by some striking new figures. Humanoid robot monks, dressed in traditional robes, took part in the parade, drawing attention from visitors and the media alike. Among them was Gabi, the robot monk that became a focal point after receiving Buddhist precepts.
에너지를 아끼고 과충전이 않는 것입니다. 과충전 하지 않겠습니까?
예, 않겠습니다.
This transformation is becoming visible far beyond temples and festivals. Buddhist-themed brands have recently gained popularity among younger generations, turning spiritual messages into relatable cultural experiences and lifestyle content.
These days, Buddhism feels pretty hip among people my age. So I think it's great that more content like this is being created.
T-shirts featuring illustrated Buddha characters, key rings, and social media-friendly designs reinterpret Buddhist teachings with humor and warmth. Even celebrations surrounding Buddha's birthday are increasingly adopting elements of Korea's fandom culture.
There's something comforting and approachable about it. It gives people a chance to reflect on themselves and let go of some of the pressure they carry. So I think that's why it resonates positively with people.
By offering cultural experiences, religion is increasingly serving as a source of comfort, enjoyment, and even daily routine.
We think many young people struggle with uncertainty about life, and Buddhism offers realistic guidance and comfort, which is why we try to reflect those messages in our items.
Blending its open nature with technology and trends, Buddhism is becoming more accessible and engaging. 조영은, Arirang News.
K-pop continues to dominate the global music scene, attracting fans from around the world. And that popularity was once again proven at the 2026 American Music Awards that took place earlier this week. To tell us more about the significance of K-pop's AMA success, we have our culture correspondent Park Konu here in the studio. Welcome back, Konu.
Great to be here, Dami.
So, Konu, let's begin with the major wins that K-pop artists brought home at this year's Academy. Tell us more.
All right, so at this year's American Music Awards held Monday at the MGM Grand Garden Arena in Las Vegas, K-pop acts received a total of 11 awards among the 50-plus categories. Most notably, mega hit boy band BTS took home 3 awards, including the night's top honor, Artist of the Year. BTS previously won in this category 5 years ago, becoming the first Asian act ever to receive the award before the members began their mandatory military service. And this year, as you can see on the screen right now, BTS beat out 9 other major global artists, including Bad Bunny, Taylor Swift, Bruno Mars, and Lady Gaga to claim the title once again. In addition to the grand prize, BTS also won Song of the Summer for Swim, the lead track from its latest album Arirang, as well as Best Male K-pop Artist, sweeping all 3 categories in which the group was nominated. One expert said this was a sign that the band hadn't been forgotten about while on military hiatus.
Because the members enlisted one by one, the group was able to continuously release music and content throughout the period, while each member also expanded their individual fan base. And in many Western countries, where mandatory military service is uncommon, BTS's return after military service has created a hero narrative.
At the ceremony, K-pop Demon Hunters also took home 4 trophies, including Song of the Year for Golden from its soundtrack. Korea-US collaborative K-pop group Katseye also emerged as another standout winner, earning 3 awards, including New Artist of the Year, and twice also won Best Female K-pop Artist. By accounting for about 1/5 of the awards handed out at this year's AMAs, industry experts say it reflects K-pop's growing influence on the global music scene and could signal even greater global success ahead.
There's some generational tension between traditional music culture and the way younger audiences consume music. But as younger generations continue to grow, the cultural flow of K-pop is also evolving, as Taekwondo has expanded globally to some 150 million practitioners. The ways people enjoy music are also becoming more diverse, whether through animation, social media platforms, and more.
And following this, Kanu, can we expect to see more of these similar successes at other major music awards, maybe the Grammys?
Possibly. But it's also important to understand what each of these 3 major music awards, the AMAs, the Billboard Music Awards, and the Grammys, places the most importance on. The AMAs are widely seen as a stronger reflection of public popularity, as winners are determined through fan votes after nominees are selected over factors including streaming numbers and album sales. The Billboard Music Awards are based largely on objective data such as sales figures and social media engagement, while the Grammys rely more on votes and evaluations from around 15,000 music industry insiders, including composers and producers.
The Grammys are often criticized for being somewhat rigid and slow to adapt to changing trends because the voting system is centered around industry insiders. And unlike fan-driven awards, the Grammys tend to focus more heavily on evaluating individual artistry. But as global music culture increasingly moves toward fandom-based engagement, something K-pop has led, ignoring BTS again could trigger significant backlash.
Kim added that BTS's efforts to collaborate with musicians and producers based in Los Angeles for the latest album will likely leave a strong impression on industry voters, many of whom tend to value familiarity and close industry networks when evaluating these artists.
I see. Well, while BTS is expected to keep their momentum, they are on their world tour. Where's their next stop, Conor?
Right. So after finishing a 4-day residency in Las Vegas, BTS now heads to Busan for the next leg of the world tour, Arirang. The concerts will coincide with the group's 13th anniversary on June 13th, with performances scheduled over 2 days from June 12th. As large numbers of international fans are expected to visit the city, the Korean government is also stepping in to crack down on excessive accommodation prices and other unfair practices. Several government agencies, including the Culture Ministry and Interior Ministry, plan to conduct joint inspections ahead of the concerts to create a safe and comfortable environment for all visitors coming to Busan.
Alrighty, Kanu, thank you for the wrap-up. As always, I'll see you next Friday.
Yes, of course, as always.
Looking ahead to the weekend, temperatures will continue to climb, bringing early summer heat across the country. Areas highlighted in red on the map, mainly across parts of the Gyeongsang-do provinces, will see temperatures exceed 30 degrees on Saturday. By Sunday, Seoul will rise to 30 degrees, while Pohang will soar to 34 degrees. Many areas across the country will top the 30-degree mark. Strong sunshine will dominate throughout tomorrow. UV levels are expected to reach the extreme levels on Jeju Island, while most of the other regions will see very high UV levels. Ozone concentrations will also be on the rise, so please take extra precautions. Meanwhile, Typhoon Changmi is heading northward south of Japan. Although it won't directly impact Korea, rough seas are expected around Jeju Island from Tuesday next week. Tomorrow, Seoul will start the day at 16 degrees, Chuncheon at 14 degrees, Busan at 17 degrees. Then by the afternoon, Seoul will get up to 28 degrees, while Daegu and Gyeongju will all top out at 32 degrees. Looking ahead, daytime heat will stick around through Wednesday, Election Day. Now here's a look at the weather around the world.
That is all we have for tonight. I'm Kim Dami. From all of us here at Arirang, thanks for watching and good night.
A country where traditional and modern cultures coexist.
Where you can explore spectacular landscapes and nature.
Savor the delights of traveling at every turn.
Where? Korea, of course.
There are some must-visit places in Korea. Ones that appear in every tour guidebook: Hangang River, Gyeongbokgung Palace from the Joseon Dynasty, and...
Yes, these are essentials, but I want to go somewhere a little different. I don't have to follow the guidebook. For example, filming locations for K-pop music videos or K-dramas and movies.
Traveling is all about taking it slow. A long walk at your own pace or even zoning out somewhere quiet. Doesn't it sound relaxing?
You travel for the experience, trying something new in a foreign place, de-stressing and making lifetime memories, taking tons of pictures along the way.
70% of the Korean territory is mountainous. Naturally, hiking is a very popular pastime in Korea. Not your kind of activity? Trust me, the view will make the effort worth it. Just catch your breath by the cold stream in the valley.
Korea is surrounded by the sea on three sides. From the beach, you can enjoy a wide open view as well as various water activities. But the riverside is great too. There's plenty to see and do.
If you're in Korea, you can't miss the night view full of dazzling lights.
Yes, even the same place can have a totally different vibe at night.
Want to make unforgettable memories?
How about traveling to all corners of Korea? Join us next time to explore more about Korean culture.
Knock knock! The magical door to the world of K-animation is swinging wide open. Meet your instant new BFF, the adorable Catch. Tina Ping will have you hooked from the very first glance. Need a hand? Our Robocar Pony Rescue team is always zooming in to save the day. How about tagging along on Pinkfong and Pal's super exciting quest to reclaim their lost magic? With the mysterious life forms Cabion by your side, you can become a Cabion master and save humanity like the total hero. Protecting children's innocence while igniting their boundless imaginations. That's the magic of Korean animation. K-animation, the ultimate bestie for kids worldwide.
Welcome to Within the Frame, where we bring the most pressing issues across the globe into focus. I'm Kim Mo-gyan. South Africa is drawing growing attention as one of Africa's key economic and strategic partners, especially as global supply chains shift and competition over critical minerals intensifies. From batteries and electric vehicles to clean energy and advanced manufacturing, South Africa's role in the global economy is becoming increasingly important, while cooperation with Korea is also expanding beyond trade into areas like industrial development, technology, and cultural exchange. And ahead of next week's Korea-Africa Foreign Ministers meeting in Seoul, we're joined today by the South African ambassador to Korea to discuss where bilateral ties are headed forward. Ambassador Sindiswa Mukuku, very big welcome.
Thank you very much, Ms. Kim. Thank you for having us.
So, Ambassador, like we've said, Korea will host this Korea-Africa Foreign Ministers meeting in a couple of days. To start us off, could you tell us what will South Africa be focusing most at this meeting?
Oh, thank you very much. First and foremost, the Korea-Africa Foreign Ministers meeting is an outcome of the inaugural Korea-Africa Summit that was held in June of 2024. So the outcome of that was that we need to have the foreign ministers discussing issues that will take forward the partnership of Korea and the rest of the African continent. So with us, this meeting is a very important platform for us to exchange ideas with the Korean partners in terms of a mutually beneficial partnership. That's what we want to develop with Korea broadly. As you have mentioned, Korea has made a huge progress, advanced manufacturing, batteries, and green energy. So we are looking forward to using this platform in order for us to benefit from the partnership and also to grow the African economies. And with South Africa, we would like stronger cooperation in areas, but that are not limited to critical minerals. And as you would agree with me, that the critical minerals is what is essential as one of the input factors to the advanced industries. So we have quite a number of resources in that area, but our narrative is that if we could have value addition in the African continent, in South Africa therefore, and we are bringing a very strong partnership of Africa through the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement. So you have access to a market of more than 1.4 billion people. So that is the conversation that we'll be having starting on Sunday, the 31st, until the 2nd of June.
Right, so it seems it will really shape the partnership between the two countries moving forward.
Yes.
Now, since the G20 summit in Johannesburg, cooperation between Korea and Africa seems to be growing steadily, especially in supply chains and industry as well. What do you see as the biggest change in bilateral ties recently?
It will be remiss of me not to first and foremost appreciate the support that we received from the Republic of Korea during our presidency of the G20 in 2025. And that was also, cherry on top was the visit by President Lee Jae-myung to South Africa in Johannesburg for the summit. So that was a very appreciated support. Coming now to the outcomes of the G20 and how South Africa and Korea are partnering, we want to shift the conversation now to be more on strategic and future-oriented economic cooperation. And the discussions are increasingly focused on the supply chains resilience. And I think we will all agree under the current global geopolitical developments that we need alternative routes as well, and to build stronger and resilient supply chains. And South Africa offers that, and not only South Africa, but the African continent broadly.
Mm-hmm. Now, speaking of the strategic and future-oriented partnership, one area that's getting a lot of attention, of course, like you've mentioned, is, of course, critical minerals. South Africa has been stressing technology transfer and local value creation. Mm-hmm. What kind of role would South Africa like Korea to play?
Yes. Korea is very advanced in terms of technology. And what is also important is that Korea built its own capabilities through industrialization. So we want to tap into that expertise. We want to have that partnership that says beneficiation, value addition must happen at source. So therefore, the Korean partners are bringing their expertise, they're bringing their technologies into the African economies. That will help the African continent to get to a better stage of development industrially, and also it has ripple effects in terms of jobs that will be created and skills that will be added into the economy. And we understand and know that Korea has that capability. That's why we appreciate this partnership that will assist Africa to get to the next level of development.
Mm-hmm. But when we get to the specifics, Ambassador, Korea is actually putting greater focus on securing key minerals like lithium and rare earths. For our viewers, could you tell us why is South Africa such an important partner in that effort?
Is because we are endowed naturally with these critical minerals. And we just had a conversation with one of the Korean companies recently as the South African Embassy. And when they looked at us, looking at what is it that they can do to improve the lifespan of the batteries. The input factor that is very important is vanadium, amongst others. So that gives a longer lifespan to the battery life. And South Africa is richly endowed with that. So our argument then is saying, good, you need this. We need your technology. We need your skills in order for us to be able to grow our own economies. At the same time, you are benefiting. That's why we are calling it as a mutually beneficial partnership and a win-win partnership.
Right, so it really looks like the areas of cooperation between the two look be promising moving forward. But at the same time, we are aware that China, it still plays a major role in Africa's critical minerals supply chain. How does South Africa hope to build a different kind of partnership with Korea from China?
You know, our partners are vast, as you would agree with yours as well. So we don't get to have our partners who are competing. Each of our partners bring a particular value that is important for our economy. So when we look at Korea, we see the skills transfer, we see the technology transfer, we see a partnership that adds value in another area, whilst we will say any other investor in South Africa, whether you are talking from the European Union or you're talking from the Americas, they bring a different value. So we don't have a competition within our partners, but we continue to make sure that we do get the best, and in all our partnership, we strive for mutual benefit.
Mm-hmm. But on the flip side, Ambassador, beyond just simply exporting raw materials, how would South Africa like Korean companies to contribute more to its industrial growth?
What we are bringing as South Africa is infrastructure that is reliable in terms of road, in terms of ports, in terms of the soft infrastructure, that is the laws that protect the investment of any partner. And we pride ourselves as one of the countries whose financial institutions are credible globally and whose financial transparency is also of global standards. So we are saying we are this environment, we have this infrastructure, we even have special economic zones that are specific for particular industries. So this is a space that we are saying you can comfortably invest in, and you can be able to get value. And we also pride ourselves in that your investment is protected, and your profits, you can take your profits out of South Africa. There are no hindrances. So we tick quite a number of boxes for you to set up in South Africa, and we provide the necessary support, the tax breaks, especially when you are investing in our special economic zones.
So maybe that's why a lot of Korean companies are getting more and more interested, of course. But on that context, is there any efforts by the government to, create a better, more stable business environment for foreign firms?
Yes, I've mentioned just the environment. We as government celebrated in the past 2 weeks, we celebrated a milestone which has been important, that we have not had any load shedding. Load shedding for us, we mean we close access to electricity in this area in order to power up the other one. But for the 365 days, we did not have that, which means now we've gotten it right. We have managed to put our power stations that had been decommissioned to commission, and those that have not been operating at full capacity, they have been able to operate at full capacity. So those are the things that government has done, and we have a reliable supply, therefore. But that does not stop us from improving. Remember, we are all working towards the emissions that are reduced. So the area of clean energy is very important. That is why we are working with Korean partners, even in terms of developing and increasing our capacity in terms of the nuclear power as well. We do have quite a mix in terms of our energy, but we're still heavily reliant on the fossils energy because we have the natural endowment of the coal. But we're working with Korean partners to be able to have that transition. But the transition is important that it must benefit South Africans. It must not disadvantage South Africans. From the technology that we're getting from Korea, we are able then to meet all these demands.
So continued efforts are really ongoing on that front. Ambassador, just shifting gears a little bit, we are aware that next year it marks the 35th anniversary of diplomatic ties between Korea and South Africa. And of course, we are aware that cultural exchanges are also growing quickly day by day. What kinds of exchanges would you like to see to expand further?
That is very exciting for us. And we are hard at work, both our headquarters in Pretoria and our mission in Seoul, to make sure that we mark this milestone. The cultural exchange is one of the commodities that Korea is exporting globally. And in South Africa, there is a lot of interest. If you get to any young person who would ask, where have you been living, if you don't know about K-pop, if you don't know about K-drama, if you don't even know about K-cuisine. So there's interest in multiple areas of the offering that Korea has. And so it is one of the elements that we will be focusing on, because we believe that when we meet at the cultural level, at people-to-people level, that's when we get to understand each other better, and we're able to do more business with each other because we understand each other better. So amongst the many things, the mission has been tasked not only by the government of South Africa, but by South Africans, that we bring the popular BTS to South Africa. So those are the things that we hope we'll be able to achieve. So it is going to be a big deal. We're also exchanging in terms of opera, because that is one area that Koreans are good at in terms of that cultural input. So we'll be exchanging those to expose Koreans also to the best of the South African opera singers, and we'll be doing a lot in many areas in terms of culture. So it is a big deal. 2027 is really important for us.
Right. It's already exciting to look forward to these kinds of people-to-people exchanges moving forward. But Ambassador, before we conclude our discussion tonight, global supply chains shift and energy transition is accelerating, and Africa's strategic importance is, of course, growing very rapidly. Where do you see Korea-South Africa cooperation heading to in the years ahead?
Because our relations date many years back, we think that with the strides that we have made thus far, we are growing. In terms of the trade, for example, at this point, I think the dual trade, the two-way trade, will be sitting at around $5 billion US, and we are hoping to increase that. And the Koreans have shown interest in the African continent at large. They've put investment in our African Development Bank. They've put resources even in the African Continental Free Trade Secretariat. That means the Koreans are interested in building the industrial development, the infrastructure development, not only of South Africa, but of the whole continent. But our relations have a tone that says we need each other, we can offer this part, and Africa says we can also offer this part. So we meet each other halfway. We provide what you need, you also provide what we also need. So the partnership between South Africa and South Korea is also able to give access to the Korean corporates to beyond South Africa, to get through the African continent. You set up in South Africa, you get to access through the AFTA, the AFCFTA, the African continent. And already we have tried with the trilateral, because we also have the trilateral, that is the Southern Africa Development Community, the East Asia Community, and COMESA. We do have that trilateral, which has worked. So that gives you another market of more than 6 million in terms of market size. So we are going to build on what we have done, not only to remain Korea, South Africa, yes, at the main, but we know that we're bringing the rest of the continent to benefit out of that partnership, and also for Korea to have access to the broader African market.
Wow, so this bilateral cooperation, it may be really entering a much broader strategic space going forward. Ambassador Mukuku, thank you so much for your time and for your insights tonight. We really appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Madam. We appreciate this time, and we look forward to engaging with you, especially in 2027, as we'll be celebrating the 35 years of diplomatic relations between the Republic of Korea and the Republic of South Africa. Kamsahamnida.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And that'll be all from us on Within the Frame tonight. Be sure to tune in again next time as we continue to explore the stories that matter. Until then, stay informed and engaged.
must bear its weight. What did the weight of the golden crown mean to the rulers of Shilla 1500 years ago? When it was first excavated, the golden crown was found flattened and folded into a cone shape, covering the face of the deceased. This dazzling artifact, was it merely a funerary object placed to guard the tomb, or a true crown that once stood at the very peak of living power? Those who believe it was worn point to its tree-shaped ornaments, arguing that silver was mixed in, allowing the decorations to stand firm without bending. The exact purpose remains unknown, a symbol of royal authority and life, and as a final gesture of respect, being placed over the face to honor him with the highest form of tribute. The gold belt discovered alongside the crown likewise attests to the sacred authority of its wearer. Each shimmering gold plate is etched with symbols of authority. The golden crown and belt hallmarks of Shilla's golden age and flourishing renaissance still rate an enduring golden presence today. Only those who bore its weight could possess the Shilla's crown and belt, a dazzling testament to Shilla's enduring legacy.
Time to set the facts straight. Get Korea right.
다음 중 한국의 전통 의상은 무엇일까요? 그렇다면 한국의 전통 의상 이름은 무엇일까요?
정답은 한복입니다. 안녕하세요. 방크 청년연구원 이정우입니다. 한국 드라마와 한국 영화가 한류 팬들에게 사랑받으면서 한국 전통 의상인 한복도 주목받고 있는데요. 한국 문화 콘텐츠가 지구촌 곳곳에서 인기를 누리면서 한국과 관련된 잘못된 정보도 확산되고 있습니다. 그중에는 한복에 관한 오류 정보도 있더라고요. 제가 여러분께 한복에 대해 제대로 알려드릴게요. 곡선과 직선이 조화롭게 이루어진 한복은 단아함과 우아함이 살아있는 한국 전통 의상입니다.